Yesterday, the expected happened in Rivers State with the declaration of state of emergency by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. This follows a protracted crisis that has engulfed the state, in which Fubara, the government, the governor, who recently has now been asked to step aside, has been at loggerheads with the House of Assembly on the one hand, and then of course Nyesom Wike, his former boss, on the other hand. But yesterday, in Mr. President's State of the Nation's broadcast, making that declaration, Wike was never mentioned in that particular issue. And we know that in the last couple of days, what has been trending is the attempt or the effort by Mr. Governor to present or represent the state's budget. And it's a case of, oh, we told you, we didn't hear, we sent you a letter, we didn't get the letter. I mean, it's been a very crazy situation. But I think the last straw that broke the camel's back was the explosion that started rocking Rivers State, especially oil installation. So in today's program, we're looking at the legality of all of these. For the next 6 months, what's going to happen? Post 6 months of the state of emergency in Rivers State, what's going to happen? The new man in the helm of affairs as the sole administrator, what should the people expect? But we'll look at all the background to this conversation. I'd like to thank very specially Uncle Tony Abolo. Is a veteran broadcaster, media consultant, and it's always a delight to have him around on issues of this nature. Tony, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much, Duke.
I also have with us here the former special advisor to the state governor on political and youth affairs, Shedrack Udugba. Shedrack, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Sonny Doc. It's a pleasure being here.
Okay, the chair of League of Patriotic Lawyers, Abubakar Yusuf, will be joining us from Lagos, and we're sure to have him on any moment from now. But let's get the conversation started right now, right away. Now, there is a background to all of this, Uncle T. So set us into that trajectory.
Background. So many strands to that background. Basically, it's Tinubu and his 2027 ambition. And some of us even suspect it's beyond 2027. In fact, beyond 2031, which makes it even more complicated. It's not as simple as people think it is. He has this overgnawing ambition about wanting to be the president of the country. When he now voiced in Abeokuta Emilio Kon, and there was much more to it. And you can see what has been playing. In the last 2.5 years, has there been governance? No. There's been this attempt to use the same military language, capture. Here's Lagos, in rebellion. And people ought to know that something is happening. He's no longer in charge of Lagos. Not quite what he thought it was. Then he also wants to meddle into Kano. He wants to meddle into Rivers. He's also part of whatever is happening in Edo State, then Osun State. So all of that is the full background, if you like, to look at what is happening in Rivers State. Then comes a very unusual thing. When although nobody wanted to talk about it, we had 2 governors in Rivers State.
Right now.
Do I know? Maybe you can say 3 now, because here was a situation where you have a sitting governor who didn't have a space even to perform or to do anything or to have the freedom. Then you have Wike who has left. And we've always analyzed this issue of godfatherism. This is the worst we've ever had. And then you have him colluding in cahoot with the president, because the president allowed him to run riot. Every day press conference over the state you left. You're both the governor of FCT and you're the governor unrecognized
governor in diaspora.
That's the governor of diaspora of Rivers State. And that's all that is played. Now, when you're introducing yourself, of course there's a security report which Fubara gave. The explosion is not what when you now even said, oh, expected. Yes, we expected there was going to be eventually, what do you call it?
State of emergency.
State of emergency. There could be spate of vandalism and all of that. But what happened is that the report that came from Fubara is that it's the Wike group that use this as a decoy, that when you explode that Trans-Sahara pipeline, then of course that will give an easy excuse for the president to declare emergency. In any case, did he follow the due process? Of course, he ought to have cleared with the House, but he just called them and informed them what he wanted to do. It is only today they want to perfect the paper. Is that a process?
Okay, interesting. Shadrach,
yes.
When you listen to Mr. President's broadcast, and if you read the full text of the broadcast, this is in line with Section 308 of the Constitution. And the President also relied on the Supreme Court judgment on this river case. And I hear that there are about 8 pending issues that were resolved at the appeals that the Supreme Court educated upon in the last judgment on River State. What do you make of the constitutional angle, the legal background to this issue?
From the legal angle, I see, for me, I was relatively surprised at the speech of the President. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu practically played his card out. It now dawned on us Nigerians that it wasn't Wike that was fighting Fubara, but Wike was merely just a tool. The battle was actually between Tinubu and Fubara.
But he made efforts to resolve the issue.
When he made efforts, he called them for a meeting and he told Fubara to stoop low to conquer. That is to say, he should make provisions for all of those commissioners that had left his government. Fubara insisted and gave provisions for them to come back. He made an appeal for them to come back in a bid for trying to reconstitute a sane governance. Then he gave a Supreme Court judgment that was not a reflection of justice. People had said that when you go to court and ask for a court about A, B, C, and the court declares and gives you A, B, C, and D. And even as I speak with you now, some of the Supreme Court judges have gone behind the scene to review that judgment and say there's an erroneous disposition in that judgment. It's not a reflection of justice. And yet, the man, in all humility, still said he was willing to implement the judgment in total. It was as though they said, maybe, first of all, this guy would not take our instructions. They gave him instructions he could not swallow. Later, they came back, they gave him a Supreme Court judgment that was almost impossible for him to implement. He said he will. You see Fubara in humility. People even started losing interest that this man can't fight. This man does not have the bone to stand strong and defend himself. He went to the House of Assembly in a bid to present. But when we saw that they botched the effort and they left the House of Assembly in a bid to frustrate the mass efforts. And today we've got to this point. See, when you talk about Section 308, there are conditions that necessitate the declaration of state of emergency. The first one of them is that there must be either war, insurrection, civil unrest that will lead to the complete breakdown of law and order.
So were you expecting to win?
No, listen to me. That is what the law says.
Yes.
There is war, insurrection, civil unrest, a complete. I didn't write the Constitution. Constitution was written as a supreme level to guide us. It's complete. There was no complete breakdown of order. There was no war, there was no insurrection. The other option was that there would be a natural disaster that will lead to a public unrest, health unrest, or public health challenge, health emergency. There was nothing like that. The third one was that there would either be a situation whereby the state government cannot function. That was the question. So we saw that there was a deliberate and a cooked up attempt to look for the slightest provocation to invoke the law, because even the threshold for the declaration of a state of emergency was not met. They cornered this thing, went to blow one pipeline. They blew the pipeline around in the morning or yesterday evening. And the next minute, you are declaring state of emergency without doing proper investigation to ascertain the validity or the extent at which it has come. It was the same Wike who opened his mouth and made these unguided statements that infuriated the judges, who called them minorities, said they don't have the capacity to produce a governor anywhere. And that's what has infuriated. So we see this daily attempt. And you see what makes it very irritating? The man went behind the guys to say because there's no state of emergency that the man starts suspended. And I dare say, there is no provision in the Nigerian Constitution that empowers the president to unilaterally suspend a governor. Directly or indirectly, and there are legal precedents to it. Obasanjo did it in 2004 and 2006 when he suspended the governor of Plateau State because there was a killings, tribal wars and court killings. He did it in the case of Ayodele Fayose. And we also know what happened in the case when the thing was challenged in the court. The thing fell flat, it could not stand. Tinubu now, who claimed to be a Democrat, has now engaged in destroying the structures because there was even a judgment, we saw the judgment in 2006 between the Akata General, the Attorney General of Lagos State and the Attorney General of the Federation, where the Supreme Court ruled that it was unconstitutional for the president to meddle into the affairs of the state. We've seen another president between Fayemi in 2014, Fawemi and the Abacha, when the speaker also wrote that even in a state of emergency, the president must follow due process. What I simply want to advise Fubara is that Fubara needs to understand these intricacies of governance. That first of all, before, it will take like 2 days, before a minimum of 2 days for the House of Assembly to ratify the state of emergency. And if they were in recess, it will take over like 10 days. Fubara should take this opportunity to challenge this in the court. So we should file a suit at the Supreme Court challenging the suspension. His own suspension by the president unilaterally without any provisional constitution. Secondly, he will now file an injunction, an interim injunction, restraining the president from appointing an administrator over Rivers State, because that thing is totally unconstitutional and not required. We will restrain him and also restrain the federal government from using the federal security agencies from intimidating or implementing the state of emergency, so that he too can hold sway. He has to defend himself, because what we run here is democracy, is not a dictatorship where one man holds sway and cannot. If you look clearly, see, if you go and visit what it takes to remove a sitting governor, there are only four provisions. The first one of them is in section 188, where it says an impeachment process, where 1/3 of the House of Assembly must raise a motion. There's a motion of gross misconduct or abuse or illegality, and the Chief Justice will set up a committee, a 7-man committee, that will investigate and revert back to the House, and 2/3 majority will sign to get the governor out. That's the impeachment. The second one is the issue of incapacitation, when the governor is no longer capacity, they don't have the capacity to preside. Maybe he's mentally derailed or he's sick. The State Executive Council can come together. That one is in section 189. The State Executive can come together and write to the House of Assembly that this governor can no longer perform, and they will prove medical results, health results, to show that the man is incapacitated. That's the second one. The third one is the issue of resignation. In section 305, the governor can, 306 rather, the governor can write to the House of Assembly that is resigning, that he does no longer want to run for any reason best known to him, then the governor will step down. There's a third one, when you call the issue of death. Either the guy dies, or the issue of falsification, where maybe the governor is dead, he can no longer function, or perhaps maybe there was a falsification of result. Maybe he did a wrong age declaration, wrong as education certificate, or maybe he lied on that oath, any falsification, or he was an ex-convict. Those are the only provisions in the Constitution that makes it possible for a governor to be ejected or impeached or sit. There's nowhere where these guys can be used. So what I see is a direct attack on democracy, a usurpation on the powers of the state government, and an effort to destroy what is left of this national democracy.
All right, let me proceed of politics. I'll come back to you. I'm hoping we can have the chair of the League of Patriotic Lawyers, Abubakar Yusuf, joining us from Lagos. I hope we can get him on in just a moment. But let me come to Tony Ambolo. Similarly, Fubara was also accused, well, in the judgment of the Supreme Court, in the sense that he undermined the democratic institution, which of course is akin to having a dictator in place. When you remove the legislature from governance, as it were, what does that imply? In destroying the State House of Assembly complex and not providing a suitable place for them to reconvene. And the Supreme Court also held that the House of Assembly members that were alleged to have left, they have not left the party. They are still part and parcel of the government. They are still part and parcel of the legislature. What do you make of these actions of Fubara?
It's a bit difficult to put some accusation on him. It's merely a convenient argument. That's what the Supreme Court seemed to have done. Because Wike created the scenario where it became impossible for him to act peaceably. And so when he now decided to act in the way he should, of course, Wike had already told his group to defect, and it made it now difficult for him to know what else to do. He was left with 4. Then not only was he left with 4, there was an attempt to create mayhem when they went to bomb the House of Assembly. And he said he would destroy it and then rebuild. What else could he have done? Was it Fubara? Has it been established that Fubara went to bomb that place? No, but it happened. And so he was going to do it. So in what way did he threaten democracy? In what way did it threaten? Like Shedrack was just saying, when you come to threatening democracy, it's what the Supreme Court was doing. go to the first arrangement, that peace move, which was one of those devious moves from the presidency. You got them to come and meet, absolute enemies, literally. Then you now said, everybody withdraw. Now, having asked them to withdraw, it was Fubara who, like he used the word in humility, withdrew all his actions in the court. But Wike, in cahoot with the presidency, allowed that to stay. And that was the thing that ran up to the Supreme Court, that they're holding to hold Fubara guilty of whatever it is. So now, here we are, in that confusion. We're not having to face it. In fact, this is a funny diarchy. In those days, we talk about diarchy, civilian, military. Now, this is a civilian military, which is an unusual diarchy. I mean, like I was saying yesterday to my friend Dubai, Nigeria is a country of the possible never happens, the impossible always. The possible never happens, the impossible always. And this is one of those things that has happened. How do we come to this situation where democracy, you've not gotten authorization from the House? Who's now the one threatening democracy? Is it Fubara? He made an attempt to present his budget. They locked the door. Then when they now he wanted to move, I wrote them a letter. They claim it, like you were saying in your introduction. Did the letter come? The letter didn't come. Till now, nobody knows who delivered the letter, where it was delivered. Then the next thing is the House now arises and goes on a prorogue of indefinite absence, leave of absence. So here we are. So who's the one threatening democracy? It's not Fubara. It's the presidency who's been playing some games that we now has played out into all of this. But you see, my greatest worry is that sometimes we should have a sense of history. And the sense of history, Duke, is this. I go back to recount what happened in 1962. And I just hope we are not walking back. Like Santayana says, anybody or any group of people who forget history are bound to make the same mistakes. There was problem between Awolowo and Akintola in 1962 at a just convention. That was when they parted ways. Akintola wanted to favor the North and link with NPC. Awolowo wanted to continue with his action group. Well, in all that anger and quarrel and dissensions and confrontations, there was all sorts of things that happened in the West. And then it was, if you recall, or those who read history, they talk about wild West. The West erupted because they couldn't take it. And then in that reaction, there were soldiers sent in to come and bring peace. Did they? Even we heard certain stories about soldiers who were fighting. When they went, your military uniform cannot get out of your body. That there was such, call it odeshi, that they use in the West. Now here we are. At the end, a state of emergency was declared. Before then, Awolowo was accused of staging a coup, for which he was jailed by Justice Shoemimo, for which, I mean, long story is that when the coup occurred, it was to free Awolowo. But that's only the end part of the story. Remember that as at that mayhem that was going on, Major Kodume was appointed the administrator of the Western region. Are we not back there now? Then what were we pleading for? That Balewa, who seemed to be a calm man, should listen and sort out this problem. There didn't seem to be any response from NPC. Ahmadu Bello was the premier of the northern region, seemed to be enjoying this trouble in the West. And at the end, when it snowballed into the coup, what happened? Who lost their lives? Who lost their lives? And so people ought to be careful. Tinubu is old enough. He's a Yoruba man. He ought to know what happened in the West and should avoid anything that can bring this country down, that can threaten democracy. And it's already stepping from a man who claims himself to be a Democrat is moving through anti-democratic behavior. And we don't know where it's all leading us to. So let's look at what happens.
Okay. Prior to yesterday, the House of Assembly, following the Supreme Court judgment, as I have meeting, Amawole, who is the Speaker, was already talking about some of the infractions of Fubara. And the list is very long. Destroying the House of Assembly was one of them. And then, of course, the willingness to continue governance and government without the input of a full complement of the House. The willingness to make appointments without recourse to the House. And then the willingness to continue government with just about 4 members of the House of Assembly. I mean, what do you make of all of this? Are you saying in all of this, you can easily just absorb Fubara of any wrongdoing? In any case, Mr. President, in exercise of his authority as the Commander-in-Chief, decided to take action yesterday to avoid a breakdown of law and order. We know we always have this sort of blame games. If he hadn't taken action, and maybe the crisis had snowballed to destruction of lives and property, destruction of critical assets, we'll say, oh, why didn't Mr. President take action? Why wasn't he proactive? I mean, that's one of your favorite language.
Yes. You know, even before now, I had never taken sides with this issue of Fubara Wike. I've almost said that both of them have erred. Fubara is a pure product of political godfatherism. A man who was not in the political trenches all his life. He had never contested for anything, never councillor, never assembly member, never anything. He was just he was formerly a director. They later promoted to become a Akata General because he helped Wike to siphon state resources.
No, you can't say that.
Okay, but there's no evidence. But as at that time, it was okay, no evidence. Yeah, no evidence. But as at the time he wanted to become governor, ESCC was looking for him. Wike hid him in government house. And all of a sudden, he brought the man, and the man became governor. The man went to inherit the asset and not the liability. So the challenge is that in when it came, it was even practically impossible for those House of Assembly members, those persons who have been politicians all their life, to pay loyalty or allegiance to a man who had never been a politician. They saw him as a man who was not fit to be their leader. And because Wike became governor of FCT, it became like they had to pay the Nigerians to another man. So the challenge for me, if Fubara has erred in some of his actions and inactions, in not starting as a boy to Wike and not wanting to end as a boy is his challenge. Because he does not have the political wit, the structure, the gap to stand on his own and offer direction, because he practically didn't win for himself. The victory was given and gifted to him. So he had political liability to bear that he refused to bear. That's snowballed into this destruction. But whether you like it or not, there was a man who came out in public domain to say that even when the man becomes governor, he will leave the man to control governance, which is ought to be. We know that the man is not in control of the people, but we shall give the man the liberty to run government as he pleases. But to now arrange it to say, you can't bring this commissioner, you bring this amount of money, you ask for a member, the structure will belong to me, all of those ones are unnecessary. Because the man practically, and you saw what happened, you brought the man in PDP, you went to APC. And you wanted to ensure that while in APC, you were controlling the PDP party, controlling the governor, telling him what to do. It was far. The man went too rich. Went too far. The reach was too far. And when the president acted like a partisan politician. It wasn't fatherly in any direction. When two people are fighting, you call one, you sanction one, you suspend one. The other one is gallivanting and enjoying life. What were you expecting Mr. President to have done? Fubara is not there, his deputy is not there, the House of Assembly members, they are not there, they are both out of government. Where is Wike? Yes, Wike is Wike in Rivers State. Who has championed the illegality in Rivers State? It's not Rivers State, it's not government in Rivers State. If Wike had died yesterday, will the battle continue? If Wike had died yesterday and they announced that Wike is suddenly dead, would they be fighting in Rivers State? That's the question you ask yourself. If Obama had died yesterday, would they have asked everywhere? These are the two principal actors. Anybody can die. Anybody can die and disappear. As for members can die and disappear. All the deputy governor, all of them can die and disappear. But if these two principal actors do not die and disappear, the battle continues. That is where the fight is. And the man made him look as though he does not understand the intricacies of what was happening in Rivers State. And I dare say, this declaration of a state of emergency will further exacerbate the already exacerbated situation in Rivers State. There will be more violence and chaos right now. Because first of all, the judge and I agree. Because even the statement he made was very, very petty. He said an initial suspension. That is to say, there are plans to increase it subsequently. And I mean, but the Constitution provides for that. No, I said the Constitution does not provide for a president to suspend the governor. State of emergency. Yes, but not a suspension. Yes. But not a suspension. Yes. And but if we ever a state of emergency, the governor will still be government and run. Not only that, there will be some bridges. As I said, under a state of emergency, the new admiral they are bringing in now, that guy will spend money without legislative agency. We will prepare resources as he likes. He can just wake up and say, oh, there's no road here, try this road. And tractor will appear, no procurement, no tenders, no nothing. Resources will deploy rastly. There will be arrest of innocent citizens without due process. That is what is legislated. So that's what it was not attempt.
Sure, let me pause you there. We've got the chair of Patriotic League of lawyers. Abubakar Yusuf Esquire is joining us from Lagos. Good morning and welcome to the program. Give us your insights into the happenings in Rivers State, particularly the latest development with the declaration of the state of emergency. Some say, well, the president acted in strict compliance with the constitution. But my analysts here are saying that there are some infractions even with the declaration of state of emergency by Mr. President. What are your thoughts?
Well, thank you so much for having me again this morning. I have been watching your discussions from far away Lagos, and I'm really impressed because that is actually my state. I was one-time president of Student Union University of Benin. So I'm always excited when I'm asked to comment on things of national importance, especially from the viewpoint of my state. So, well, the president, if I may just chip in this, I'm not just a lawyer, I'm a full member of the bar. The president of the country, by virtue of Section 305, has the power and quote to initiate move by way of a proclamation. This is what he has just done, and he will have to write to the National Assembly. But we have no faith, so to say, that the National Assembly will not endorse the first step he has taken. So if it is endorsed, both by the Senate President and the man in the House of Rep, Abbas, then it becomes binding. Well, it is discussion whether that discussion has been judiciously exercised. It's the question of contention. But I'm taken aback, really, if Fubara has been suspended or will be suspended when endorsed by the National Assembly. It stands to reason that the other actor from Abuja should also suffer a kind of punishment, because like they mentioned just now, these are the two actors that have taken us back. So, and it would be unfair if, because the activities of the state, even when it's under the military, even when it's under administrator, will be directed from Abuja, that is the National Executive Council. And we is a member of the National Executive Council. So indirectly, you'll be profiting from this punishment in the courts. I think it's unfair. I think it's unwise. But it is too early in the day. let us see it's possible, because we cannot put ourselves in the position of Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It may be in a section of some security information that we are not privy to, because let alone, I don't think the blowing of that pipeline is enough to precipitate this very grievous direction, grievous in quoting it, because nobody, I don't think that law and order has actually collapsed in Rivers State to precipitate this action. So it's too late in the day. Let us see how the National Assembly, which is clients, I have no faith in the National Assembly. I'm sorry, it's my opinion, that they will not endorse the first step towards ensuring that this state of emergency is sustained. But what we are asking is that to what extent that this really go. It is the people of Rivers State that will suffer the short end of the stick. And that is not supposed to be the dividend of democracy. And then when you look at this 27, the quest for 2037 is firing on all cylinders. And it's quite unfortunate and pathetic that 3 more years or 2 more years to go, the states or the entire country has been thrown into a tumor. And nobody's really talking about ensuring that the dividend of democracy gets to the people. What they are talking about is how they are going to perpetuate their office, their stay in office. It is regrettable, but it is realistic.
All right, Abubakar Yusuf, thank you very much. We'll join you in just a moment as we continue with this conversation. Now, we're here now. A new man will be in the saddle, beginning from today with what has happened, even though we're waiting for the ratification by the National Assembly. That's expected to be in conformity with the decision taken. Perhaps that ratification had already taken place. Maybe you guys didn't see it after all.
No, it can't happen. It can't happen. It must be in the House. Nobody has taken that decision. You know, except in the way we do things in a very inappropriate and illegal manner in Nigeria. Due process means that they must sit in the house and so pass and ratify what the president has recommended to them. And so, even the man going to take over office, there's no legal basis. And like Shedrack did say, it is not that you suspend the governor. He's in office, but you can declare your state of emergency. And even Obasanjo did even suggest to Fubara that he has the legal power to declare a state of emergency in that state if it became necessary. And one of those things you've raised, who said that the president cannot shout on Wiki? How come you allow him to run riot in the entire country? And like the lawyer did say, I mean, you've just thrown the democracy of this country under the bus practically, because we don't know how we are going to move between now and another 2 years. You don't know the effect, the implication of this so-called suspension, state of emergency that you've declared, the reaction of Rivers people. You just don't know what will happen. Somebody look, it will mean blood. We have to look at the danger ahead of us. And people are looking at it from the point of, if at all in 2027, will this endear Tinubu to the people of Rivers State? If he has to win, I'm sure it may require bloodshed, and which is not the best of things.
If we're relating this to 2027, aren't we too simplistic looking at the issue?
Simplistic. What led to all of this? Wike says Rivers is for Tinubu, and that is what he wants to deliver, and it's at all cost. At all cost. So who are we the one who related it? They are the ones who engineered the plan. They are the one who wrote the script. They said they will move up to this point when you now declare state of emergency and make it impossible and remove Fubara, because that was what happened. Because when they had tried to see that the House couldn't sit and the budget couldn't be presented and there seemed to be an impasse, so the only thing to do was move on to, because they know the difficulty they were going to run into. And here we are.
Okay. Shedrack, I mean, we are always on this trajectory, unfortunately so, where we have former governor and his prodigy always at loggerheads. And you just wonder, when will this ever end? Against the background of some of the things that starts following. The people usually are the receiving end moments like this. And it's as though when moments like this come, the protagonists are never really concerned about the plights of the people. If Mr. President has taken an action that will bring to the fore the plights of the people in terms of governance, in terms of development, in terms of making life more meaningful for the people, against the background that Rivers State is always a hotspot when it comes to crisis, conflicts, insecurity, and all of that. Isn't that the step that we should commend Mr. President for?
The thing we commend people for interventions of this nature. But first of all, you can't commend the person without looking at the quality of the intervention. If the intervention will reduce the problem or to further exacerbate it. That's my own problem. The interventions the man has made, the first time when he called them for this resolution, the second time when the Supreme Government came out, and this one, the Declaration of Emergency, there's no one that shows that it truly means well for people of Rivers State. Because while this battle has been ongoing, it has been sustained by the resources of Wike, who to a large extent was like governor of Abuja, of the FCT. So we saw that the politicians loyal to Wike were getting funded from the FCT. The 27 lawmakers, when they left Rivers State, they moved to Abuja and they were enjoying the resources. Wike was paid them salary, giving them contracts. While the politicians in Rivers State were loyal to Sifura, Sifura had to consistently oil the way to ensure that they do not defect or go the other way. That is the challenge. The politicians have been cashing out at the detriment of good governance. I said to you, good governance is on holiday on Rivers State. And now, this suspension, what will it do? It will further weaken the base of the Fubara supporters to say that those people who perhaps are loyal to Fubara will now begin to calculate, are we in the wrong camp, are we in the right camp? For a man that did not calculate, the man did not calculate that he's going to leave office. He just woke up one morning and said that 2 days' time he will be leaving office. That is to say the man has not have some resources. The commissioners of special advisors just they know we have resources. So they will quickly go broke in no distant time. And Wike, still being Minister of Justice, will begin to harvest them like ripe fruits from the tree. And before you know, they will now increase suspension again with another 6 months. After Fubara stays 1 year outside government, he will not have the requisite capacity to challenge Wike again. And by that time, he would have been humbled and cornered. And that's how the battle had been orchestrated to end up.
Okay, let me pass
there was a question. Sorry,
I'll come back in a moment. I'll come back to you in a moment. We'll take a short break. It's the TMI on the ITV network. Stay with us. So is governance and development truly on holiday in Rivers State? Tony Abolo.
Was it? Was it? You know, in truth, there are legal opinions that have been offered about 4 members of the House with Fubara running Rivers State. As long as those 27 in a video did say they have jumped ship, they have gone to APC, there was an affidavit. Those are the evidences that Fubara was presenting that he was told to withdraw. Otherwise, the evidence was there that they have left. So it meant that only 4 were valid and you could present your budget to that 4. And you could take your decisions with that 4, make appointment with that 4. It is legal. Because there was, he didn't have a choice. Is he going to be looking for them wherever in Port Harcourt, Abuja? Where will he go and look for them? Because they were supposed to be in the House of Assembly and they were not there. So why are people blaming him? There was governance going on and he made his effort. Weren't you seeing it on TV? There were projects that were being commissioned here and there. He did a lot of things, even with the results, and he generated more IGRO than they ever before. And so anybody saying that governance was on holiday, no. And they ought to have even, if only he had the peace. And the president ought to have made everything he could to get Wike off his back. Has he ever, I mean, does it make sense? You allow a man to be distracting another governor. You've left a state. He himself, President Tinubu, will not tolerate that in Lagos. Didn't he fight with Obasanjo? Then it comes to another person. You allow somebody to be bickering and quarreling and tearing somebody apart, and it's okay with you, and you're the president of the country. You are, look, I don't know, I mean, people just play them. In Africa, we're worried about state capture. We're worried about judicial capture. I mean, now, Lamido now even says, all of us are in a comatose situation in Nigeria. Because we can't help ourselves, that we'll move in and INEC will declare only one man, and he will be the man waiting for us in the court as whatever it is he wants. So since he wants us this way, governance, like you ask, is not just on holiday in Rivers, it's on holiday in Nigeria. Okay, tell me what is going on.
Okay, well, look, that's a matter for another day. Barrister Abubakar Yusuf, quickly share your thoughts with us as we take this conversation further, just on the verge of capping it up. Now, we are here, and looks like, listening to Mr. President yesterday, that declaration was premised on the Supreme Court judgment on all the cases surrounding the Fubara House of Assembly Wike matter in Rivers State. What's your take along those lines?
Well, you see, I need to be very circumspect in saying anything that would jettison the Supreme Court's verdict. Because the Supreme Court is the highest court, is a final court, is ubiquitous, so to say. But some of the judgments I disagree with, but I did respect it till eternity. I think the issue of the validity of the 27, once you, like the last speaker just said, once you decamp or you change gear, your political gear from one party to the other, it's automatic that you lose your seat. It does not need any bureaucratic pigeonhole and administrative liberty to manifest that. Once you have decamped, you have automatically lost your seat, and the INEC or states, whatever, will prepare for a fresh election. So I'm actually miffed that the 27 lawmakers that are supposed to be on vacation because they have lost their seat, they have also recongregated in Port Harcourt and threatening impeachment. So the whole thing, I've not been able to get the full judgment of the Supreme Court. So I will be very circumspect, like I told you, in offering my opinion. This I offend the highest court in the land. But the Supreme Court is not not only the highest court. It is ubiquitous. But you can disagree with the Supreme Court and ask that they should consider that decision. But this decision on validity or the status of the 27 lawmakers did not even come before the Supreme Court. It's still in the Federal High Court, Port Harcourt or the So I think the Supreme Court is trying to overreach itself by recongregating the 27 members who are now threatening to impeach Governor Fubara. And this one has given a vent of effect to the move to declare a state of emergency. It's unfortunate, but I think I need to hold myself and ensure that the gunpowder is still dry till I read the full judgment of the Supreme Court. But as it stands, I respect the judgment, but I disagree with it.
Today. Now, on the final note, what does the future hold for Rivers State with the incoming of a sole administrator? For some analysts, Wike has had the laugh last, even though the process is still on. 6 months, I mean, can be renewed, as it were. But let me take it from you.
Now, for me, with if I was in a position to advise Fubara, I won't advise him to leave office, to challenge the court, Supreme Court, obtain restraining order, write to the international organizations, write to ECOWAS, write to African Union, write to European Union.
And go and disgrace us in public.
Yes, it's possible because
what has happened is not
because you have to write
enough.
after he has written to describe the situation as a direct attack on the Nigerian democracy that is tied around the interest, political interest, the narrow political interest of an individual. We call all those other organizations like the NBA, the SERAP, the ROLAC, all those civil society organizations in Nigeria that is positioned with defending the rule of law and the tenets of democracy. Let them also have a say. The people will have to continue. The truth is that, see, we can't continue with a structure that is dysfunctional. This thing will set a wrong precedent. Tomorrow, another president will come and he will tell somebody to go and shoot banger in the government house. When they shoot banger, scatter one railroad, they scatter one railroad, he will declare an emergency and suspend the governor. It will create a bad precedent. We cannot continue like this. First of all, there must be resistance. The man should offer some structure in resistance. But beyond that, if he leaves office as he has said, because I listened to him very clearly, on the speech, I don't know how true it is. He issued one speech yesterday night that people should stand strong, we'll do this, that. If he chooses to leave, well, we'll see the admiral come with a mighty force. We'll see military positioned everywhere. And the instruction will be given to him to hoodwink all those persons who have been loyal to Fubara. They will begin to call people to sides, begin to attack political interests and reduce political enemies. How can one man sit down and think about all of the challenges of governance in those states and offer good governance? There's not going to be good governance from one head. There's no one man who knows all the problems of Rivers State. Of course, Rivers has been a hotbed because of the resources. How can the state have 170-something billion naira annually to toy with? A governor that has over $1 billion naira security votes. The humongous resources in Rivers State is what has made this so pronounced in terms of chaos and riots. Why is there no fighting in Gombe? Why is there no fighting at Dawama? Money that is not enough to pay salaries. Who will fight? It is stupendous resources. When you see crisis, you see it in Kano, you see it in Rivers, you see it in Lagos, it's because of the resources. What Wike had wanted to do, you know, there's a slogan in my village. I didn't stay long enough in the village to say it in that language. But it simply means that when a plantain becomes too strong, it will tear. That is exactly what I know will happen to Wike in no distant time. In no distant time, we will see the battle between Wike and Tinubu. That will be the last face-off. And that's where the APC will tear in totality. Well, because the man had not tried to create a god out of himself. He had saw he saw the dynamics that Tinubu used in Lagos. Tinubu became governor, left, and entrenched a principality. He created a president of where he can sit in the sitting room and continually change who becomes governor. And began to spread his coast to other states. And that was what he rode on and became president. Wike went to arrange such a system of that nature for himself. He went to be governor. After governor, you put a governor there, you control the governor as he pleases you. Then you begin to stretch your tentacles. That's why man went so deep into the People's Democratic Party. That even today, the national secretary, former national secretary of the APC, the PDP, is like a toy to him. The deputy vice president South for PDP, Danobi, is like a boy to him. He carries them around because he uses them as a tool.
Even the chairman of
the party. So that is the kind of thing the man went to build, so that he will become a sole dictator who have so many fangs. That's why he was interested in those states, and he went to sponsor Obaseki Obaseki to destroy Shomule, believing that when Obaseki came on board, Obaseki was going to tie his neck to the April string of Wike, and the man quickly cut his neck and told him, "You're on my own," and he fell out, and battle started. So I see Wike is desperation. Just yesterday night, I went to revoke the land of the PDP secretariat, and I look at the man and I say, does he really know what he is doing? Your party. The man is not fighting himself. What is happening is that Tinubu is simply using him to fight, because if PDP practically just get smoked out as a political party, the opposition disappears. What happens? Tinubu has a free ride. I have seen Tinubu do this thing repeatedly. He did it with Labour Party, sent his cronies into the party. The party went there, they frustrated Peter Obi. Peter Obi was like a golden candidate. For the had to run away from Labour Party. Today he's not a member of Labour Party. They went to Kanu, a new Nigerian Labour Party. They caught a fashion inside, and the fashions in the Labour Party came together and said they are suspending a governor. Are they normal? How can a party suspend the only governor it has in a country, and you say there's no external influence? Tinubu, see, when somebody goes into government and he seeks re-election in his heart of hearts, he wants to be governor for the second tenure. What is expected is that the man will focus on all the promises he made. The promises he made on electricity. Tinubu opened his mouth and said, if he cannot give you light in the first 4 years, constant electricity in Nigeria, that Nigeria should stone him when it comes to ask for a second tenure. He said this is mad. The videos are in public domain. He promised economic growth. He promised sustainability. All of those things are bejested. Instead of him to focus on good governance, he's focusing on breaking the structures and ensuring that he holds people down to ransom and enthrone himself in subsequent elections. We are happy and we are watching, because I know that when illegality multiplied by illegality is always result to illegality, and we will stand strong. As he has scattered the ship will reunite in 2027. And I tell you, I see APC go for an implosion. I see Tinubu not getting re-elected, no matter the illegality that the man has orchestrated, because the will of the people.
Only time will tell. I mean, we'll
time will tell anyway.
The only time will tell. But my comment is this: what the scenario that Tinubu has played up is that we've been there before. There's a deja vu. Here we are. Haven't we had military regimes? What now do you expect will happen in Rivers State? One man, like Shedrack Udubai says, one man to take that decision in Rivers State. Is that his state? Does he know the people? Does he know the terrain? Does he know the dynamics? And now he moves in. And we are not in a military regime. And a former military personnel. And so what is he going to do there? The same destruction we found when you had military regimes governing the people. That's exactly what is about to happen in Rivers. So the structures are going to be broken down. The development processes truncated, and no direction that Rivers will get. So we're coming to anarchy and mayhem. And he who set it up, like they say, and you are a scientist, there's equal opposite reaction. That is what is going to get from this action. Everything in life, there are consequences. In this very one, in fact, like Udubai did say, I can almost predict 2027 that he thinks is given. Let's watch.
So, I mean, you guys are beginning to sound like prophets of doom. I mean,
no, I don't know about that.
All right, let me quickly get to Lagos, where Abubakar Yusuf is still standing by. Give us your final take. And then, of course, I'd like to, I know you are standing in for, I think, former Governor Gordon Obaseki with his EFCC stuff and all of that. What is the current situation with that case? We hear the man has jackpot from the country. Is he coming back anytime soon? What's the state of affairs with that, quickly?
Well, His Excellency Governor Obaseki is abroad attending to his health. Don't forget that for 8 years he was in office. He did not really attend to his health. He's not running to any place. As a matter of fact, like you would know, Obaseki has been able to take Edo to his El Dorado, and that's why Edo State is the second most visited when it comes to tourism and some other achievements. I don't want to talk about politics, because what we are doing for Obaseki is a legal consultation, and it has to do with his matter with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Whenever he comes back, we are going to be the center point of his defense in the commission. So I don't think we talk every day or every other day. So he's ill and healthy, and he will be back to Nigeria to take charge of whatever is crime, so to say, they have against him. As regards the last...
No jackpot away from the country.
At all. After he's attending to his health, he's trying to, he's even prepared his menu, his walk through Edo State in 8 years, and he will launch that as soon as he comes back to Nigeria.
Okay.
He's healthy, he's vibrant, and he's continuously dynamic. He has not got back. He'll be back in no time.
All right. Thank you, Abubakar Yusuf. Thank you so much. And Shedrack, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
As always, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.